All right, Congressman Randy Neugebauer has been the wayward the prodigal congressman has come home. We missed you the last couple of weeks. Where you been, man?
Well, I went to spend a little time with my family for the Thanksgiving holidays, and it just happens that one of those happen to be travel days for me, so I was not able to join y'all. But I hope that you both had a nice Thanksgiving.
We did. Did you have a good one?
I did. We were able to kind of get our family all together, which we don't have an opportunity to do very often, and so that was kind of nice.
Fantastic.
Okay, Congressman, we got a telephone call, 770-5790, if you'd like to sound off, make a comment, ask a question. I believe Mike Murphy, Western Implement's on the line, and he's got some questions on Section 179 and what we're doing there. Go ahead, Mike, you're on.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Randy, Laura, glad to talk to y'all this morning. Quickly, I know our time is short.
No, we're good. Go ahead.
Okay, Section 179 passed, Randy, as you know, it passed the House last week. Astounding, like a 350 vote to 45 vote, something along that line, which is great, but, it's like too little too late. I don't see if, what's your feelings about the Senate getting it passed before they break for Christmas holiday? I believe it's the 20th. I'm just so disappointed, Randy, to be honest with you. I mean, if you had this kind of, it looks like you got overwhelming support in the House for this type of tax relief for your West Texas people, farmers, ranchers, business, whoever. It's just a widespread break. Why wouldn't it pass sooner so we could work on it sooner? What do you think, sir?
Well, Mike, you're exactly right, and that's the reason I hate these tax extenders. We ought to make tax policy permanent. And actually, there was a deal that was working that would have made a number of these tax policies permanent policy, but the president came in at the very end and nixed all of that, said he would veto that bill. And so basically what we did is, we extended this tax policy till the end of this year, which really makes it difficult for farmers, ranchers, and small business people to do any kind of planning. And so what I'm hopeful that I think the Senate is going to pass these, Mike, but what I'm really hopeful is that we can come back in a new Congress and really do the work that we need to do, and that's do comprehensive tax reform and make that tax policy permanent so that businesses and farmers and ranchers can make plans. Here at the end of the year now, you're going to have a big rush of folks that were deciding whether they were going to buy equipment this year or next year. Now, they're having to make a very quick decision here, and obviously waiting to see what the Senate does.
Do you think there's a chance the Senate will even get it done this year?
We're hearing that they're going to take it up. I talked to Senator Cornyn and Senator Cruz last week, and my impression is that they are intending to do that. But I never try to predict what the Senate's going to do because they're pretty unpredictable.
Don't worry about it, Mike. I'm not wild about Harry either.
Okay. Well, and even if the Senate does, it still has to get through the president before the end of the year, correct?
That's correct. He has indicated, this president's fairly unpredictable. He's indicated that he would go along with that because I think Harry Reid has indicated that that they would take those up. But again, we'll know this week. This is maybe the last week that the House is in session. I think the Senate is going to stay another week because they're over there trying to run through all of these appointments that they can in the final days of Harry Reid's and the Democrats' majority in the Senate.
Okay, so probably they will be out by the 20th anyway. Probably.
Yes. So you've got basically depending on again what the final agenda looks like, but you've got a 2-week window here with the Senate, and we're going to try to take up some kind of a bill to keep the government open past December the 11th, and there's a few other odds and ends, but that's the major portion in the House. But the Senate, again, they're trying to squeeze legislation in between ratifying some of these appointments for the president.
Yes, sir. Okay. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed and pray that they get it done.
Hey, me too, Mike. Hey, listen, Mike, just before you go, I want to encourage people, if you need a small tractor or something for a 1 to 10 acre place, buy Orange, Western Implement Company 19th. Is it 19th?
That's right.
19th and A?
19th in the interstate, I-27.
Okay, I-27 and 19th. Sorry, got the address wrong. Mike Murphy, thanks for calling in this morning.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Randy.
I
Laura,
appreciate
y'all
it.
have a good holiday.
You too.
Have a Merry Christmas.
You
too,
as well.
Man. All
Okay.
right, Randy, if you hang on with us, we'll be back with you at 7:41. Good morning. It is Monday, back with Congressman Randy Neugebauer. All right, Congressman, this is kind of interesting. They've made this wildlife refuge. It's 14,000 acres. It's about 40 miles southwest of Lubbock. Basically, I juxtaposed this earlier with, taking of the Indians' land and putting them on the reservation. This is the Prairie Chicken Reservation. And I'm surprised that our president has allowed this segregation move to happen, number one. Number two, another thing that's just blowing me away is that we have immigration. It's a huge problem. It's on the front burner. And over the next 3 days, we've got the royal family here in the United States, going to be hosted by the president at the White House. And we're looking at and discussing the illegal trafficking of wildlife animals. Are you kidding me?
Well, Tom, you got to wonder what the president's priorities are, and I think one of the things that's dominating the landscape up here is how to counteract what we believe the president's illegal acts are when it comes to immigration and securing our borders. And I'm more worried about securing our borders right now than I am of people trafficking wildlife animals. I think the priority ought to be to secure our borders. Maybe if you secure our borders, we wouldn't have to worry about either one of those issues.
Well, here we have this thing going on with the prairie chicken. Of course, that drew national attention. Okay, and now we're talking about the trafficking thing. Now, the president is hosting this guy in from across the pond to talk about all this stuff, but yet he still hasn't been down to the Mexico border to even take a look at this thing. I mean, he's just, I don't understand that.
Well, I mean, the president is not so much worried about the border security, Tom, as he is, these unlawful acts of trying to get grant amnesty to millions of people that, unfortunately, their first act in this country was to break the law. And he's this is a part of the progressive agenda. A lot of people think this is not only politically motivated, but it's a motivation to create a new voter base for the Democratic Party. And I think eventually it's going to backfire for him.
Okay, realistically, is there anything that Congress, as far as the House of Representatives, is looking at relative immigration and immigration policy? At this point, is there anything that really you can do? Can you go back and say, really, no, now we're going to make this law says that law is not good? Or are all those people just going to be grandfathered?
Yeah, well, I think what we're doing is we're trying to work within the framework that we can. And last week we passed a bill that says to the president, hey, you can't do this. Read the Constitution. It says, Article 1, Section 8, Section 4 says, that the Congress shall establish a uniform rule of naturalization. The Congress makes the laws on how people can and cannot come into this country. It's up to the executive branch to enforce the laws of this country. In fact, the president took an oath that he would do that. Now, the other opportunity that we're trying to explore right now is, how can we defund some of those activities? The problem we have in this current Congress is that we still have Harry Reid on duty for a couple of more weeks, and so any bill that we try to do is probably not going to see the light of day over there, although there is some discussion about, as we are trying to address to how we're going to fund the government moving forward, are there some things that we could put in that funding bill that could limit the president's ability to do that. So certainly dominating the landscape of discussion up here and trying to figure out a way to, not just in this issue, Tom, but in other issues of president just, getting way outside what we think the bounds of his constitutional authority is.
What realistically can you do? I mean, at this point of disagreement, because he says, well, I can do this, and everybody else is saying, well, no, you can't do that. I mean, as far as in the House and, soon to be in the Senate, what realistically can be done in the realm of common sense to kind of reel this in and say, hey, we're going to stop the madness?
Well, hopefully, I think one of the things where you're headed, and I think it's an important thing, is kind of managing expectations. We had a big victory in November. The American people, I think, spoke very loudly that, this vote was more against this administration. And so, American people are frustrated with that. So, obviously, in the House, we can pass some bills. We will, in the next Congress. We'll send those to the Senate. Now, many of those bills will actually have to be taken up now. They won't have Harry Reid over there blocking them, but some of the Senate rules will still be in place there. And so for many of those issues that we'd like to move forward and send over to the president before seeing him to either sign those laws or veto them, and if he vetoes them, explain them to the American people. But I think the conduit will be open more, but still the ability to just unilaterally make changes with the president still in the White House will continue to be difficult. And I think we're going to see in the first few months, how this is going to go. The president invited the Senate leadership over, Mitch McConnell, the future majority leader, over to have some discussions about working together. I'm very skeptical that this president really is willing to work together, but we'll see.
Okay. Hey, 7:53, we'll ask you to hang loose with us just for a couple more minutes. First news, 7:57. Congressman, let's go to the phones real quick, and we got Sharon on the line. Sharon, you're on. Good morning.
Good morning. Congressman, what do you think about what John Bonner and the leadership did on that amnesty bill, that YOLO amendment, or that YOLO bill that was like a page and a half? And the morning you guys voted, it was still there on the table as a page and a half bill that you could look at. And then when they voted on it, they had replaced it with something else and added the language that, under exceptions, that it would be okay if it was danger to the people. We've basically now given Obama the legal standing that he needed for that amnesty action he's taking.
Yeah, well, thank you for that question. What happened and happens on a number of pieces of legislation. You have the person that originally offers the bill, and those bills can get amended or changed prior to bringing it to the floor. There was a lot of discussion. Some members had questions about that bill, and so I think what the leadership was trying to do was respond somewhat to a number of members' concerns about that bill, and so they made some changes before bringing it to the House floor. It's really, it was more of a messaging bill than it was anything, just saying to the president that we don't agree with what you're doing. Obviously, it's not going to be taken up into in the Senate. So we're going to have to do more substantive things if we're actually going to try to counteract what the president's doing on this illegal immigration.
All right, just about out of time. Thanks for your call, Sharon. Appreciate that. Congressman, relative Sharon's sentiment, were people upset about this, or are they okay with it? I mean, are they trying to comb the hair the right way, or what?
Oh, everybody's upset about this, I think, and because basically they understand that this just encourages, behavior that people continue to break the law, that we've sent the signal that send your children up here, risk their lives, come on up and sneak across our borders, because ultimately, we're not going to enforce the law.
The views and opinions expressed by the participants of this KFYO program.